Hey everybody, Mindful Mike here, week 3 of Cultivating CALM. I've had a couple great questions this week. So before I go into the practice of what's happening week 3, I thought I'd answer some questions from you. So the first one was, Mike, is it possible that these meditations are making me more anxious? In a way, yes. It's possible that you doing these meditations, if this is your 3rd week of trying out this meditation practice, it's very possible that you're more aware of your anxiety. I wouldn't say that you are experiencing more anxiety, you're probably more aware of it. So if you think of it as, let's say, you had a match before and you lit the match and you're kind of walking around this room or this house and you're looking and the match goes out, and then all of a sudden you start practicing, that match becomes a candle and that candle gets brighter and brighter and brighter, and then all of a sudden you're able to see a little more. And then maybe in your 3rd week of practice, now you have like a little lantern that you're walking around your house and looking at, and everything's more illuminated or more present. And this is a very common experience in teaching meditation that I work with clients or when I do workshops, that I see people within the 3rd or 4th week of them meditating, that they're more aware of their anxiety. And they say, Mike, I'm experiencing more anxiety. Usually you're just more aware of it. And that's typically how this practice goes. So be kind to yourself, which actually works out to be this week's teaching is self-compassion. So how can we incorporate being kind to ourselves in this practice of mindfulness? What's a way where we can daily start filling up our cup? And to me, that practice is self-compassion. So what is self-compassion? It's holding yourself in the way that you would hold someone that you love. So if you're caught in what might happen, or if you're caught in the future, or you're always caught in giving energy out, the practice of self-compassion is just asking yourself daily, all right, how am I doing right now? If you're dealing with frustration, or if you're dealing with worry, or if you're dealing with shame, how can I take a couple moments outside of the day and to fill up my cup? So a regular practice of self-compassion is something that you are just training your mind to purposely ask yourself, how am I doing? This isn't playing woes is me and playing the violin and saying, oh, I wish I should have done this instead. But if you're dealing with a difficult time, right now in COVID, if you're dealing with financial worries or anger or frustration or doubt, how can we just go, wow, this is really hard for me right now, to not be working or to be working from home, or try to balance being a parent and also, working, or being a parent and, trying to get all of daily life stuff done in a different way. Right? In my experience, especially in this COVID business, it's hard to compare this version of like COVID me to pre-COVID me. My life is completely different right now. So to compare myself to what's happening now to what has happened isn't very helpful. So when we're looking at starting a practice of self-compassion, all this is first noticing how you do care for yourself, how you do want yourself to experience physical and mental well-being, but that purposely bringing this into a formal atmosphere, purposely bringing this awareness in a formal way of listening. Typically a formal practice is listening or a guided practice. So we can bring the self-compassion into our life informally. So when you're judging yourself in real time, or you're, saying, oh, you should have done this, you can look at it objectively and hold yourself with some compassion, just for a moment. So let's do a brief practice of self-compassion. So when you're ready, just allow your eyes to close.
Just allowing your eyes to close. And just allowing your body to find a comfortable position, sitting, resting or lying. As you set your intent for this practice of self-compassion. So just allowing your eyes to relax Just very gently bringing your awareness into your breath. So just allowing your awareness to settle and to focus on your breath. The gentle rise and then fall. And again, you're just purposely bringing your awareness to your breathing. Again, noticing that your mind will go off from time to time. You will notice thoughts or sounds, but purposely we're bringing our awareness back into watching our breath, or perhaps watching our body's reaction to our breath. Just in this moment, in this body, here and now. And now bringing into your awareness someone who is easy to love. So just bringing into your awareness someone who's easy to love. As you bring this person forward, just allowing yourself to see how you care for them deeply. And just very gently just bringing up any frustration, or sadness or suffering that they've experienced or that they have experienced. And as you bring this forward, just see how your heart's natural reaction is to extend out and meet them with compassion. So just take this moment, and as you hold them in your heart, say kindly to yourself, as you think of this person in which you care for deeply, and you think of their suffering, and you feel your heart extend out to meet theirs, saying to yourself, may you be held in this field of compassion. May you be loved and felt loved. May you be healthy and happy. May you experience this ease of well-being. And may you be at peace. And now just taking a moment to recognize how you do care and cherish for your own well-being. So just bringing forward the many ways that you do care and cherish for your own well-being. I'd like you to bring forward a time that you felt you were experiencing any suffering or sadness, anger or frustration. And as you bring this forward, allowing yourself now to imagine holding yourself as if you were holding someone who you care for. So just extending the same compassion that you typically give to others, especially those who you care for, holding yourself with this love and saying to yourself kindly, may I be held in this field of compassion. May I be loved and felt loved. May I be healthy and happy. May I experience this ease of well-being, and may I be at peace. And again, just gently saying this to yourself again, but this time perhaps trying to hold your heart. Perhaps putting one or two hands on your chest and saying this again to yourself with the intent of holding yourself as if you were holding someone who you love. May I be held in the field of this compassion. May I be loved and felt loved. May I be healthy and happy. May I experience this ease of well-being, and may I be at peace. So just planting the seed with this practice in this moment of self-care and making it a point throughout the day to just ask yourself, how am I doing today? With the intent of watering this seed of self-compassion as you continue to practice for you and by you. And when you're ready, very slowly and gently, allowing your eyes to open as you bring back this wonderful sense of self-compassion and self-care that we just cultivated.
Okay, great. We are back. Self-compassion. Now that practice sometimes brings up emotions. Totally fine. Especially if you're not used to kind of holding yourself in a healthy way. And I don't mean that judgmentally. I mean, if you're not used to just going, okay, how does this affect me? Or how can I sit with this? So be kind to yourself. You know, what I find right now, especially in this weird, wonky COVID time, is that we're really caught in comparing this version of you, like COVID version of Mike, to pre-COVID version of Mike. And I've been hearing a lot of people saying, well, Mike, I'm just not working out as often. Well, yeah, gyms are closed. Well, I find that, I'm a little more stressed. Yeah, well, maybe you're worried about what your job's gonna look like, or finances, or you're trying to balance this crazy deal of trying to be a parent. Trying to parent and be a teacher and work from home. Or maybe you're working front line, so you're trying to balance that, and there's more stress on your partner at home. I get it. I fully get it, trust me. But the idea of having this practice is so you're not comparing yourself to an older version of you, but also not comparing yourself to someone else. What I've heard quite a bit is people will say, well, I should be thankful that I have a job, and I should be thankful that I'm getting paid, and I shouldn't even be stressed because I know blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah is not working. And I should be just happy and not mad that I have to work. And you comparing yourself to someone else's situation is not going to be helpful. The most recent, well, not the most recent, but the most real example that I can give, would be when one of my best friends was sick in the hospital and in the ICU and on his way, to passing, and they weren't giving him a lot of hope. And I was visiting him, and I was sitting next to him in the ICU, And it was just really friggin' heavy, right? I could feel it like in my chest, and it sucked. And I remember thinking, wow, has to be so hard for his wife, which it obviously was, and it still is, as he eventually passed. I found myself comparing my suffering to her suffering. And I found myself saying, well, yeah, this like must be so hard for her, which it is. It must be awful for his kids, which it is and was then. And I thought, okay, yes, that is, but I also have to acknowledge my suffering. And I have to acknowledge my worry. And I have to acknowledge, this pain that I'm experiencing in my body. Because all those are real things. And I sat with it. And I sat with it. And what I mean I sat with it is I just acknowledged what my experience was. And I acknowledged my frustration. And I acknowledged my worry and, some of my emotions that were coming up. But not comparing my situation to hers. There's always going to be someone in the world that has it worse than you. And if your motto is, well, I should just suck it up and power through and not pay any sort of attention to my suffering, you're never going to hold yourself the way that you would hold a loved one. Or if you're not interested in investigating or identifying some of the emotions that's there, then you're not practicing self-compassion. There's always someone that has it worse than you, always. But taking a little time every day and asking yourself, okay, how am I doing? Doesn't take a lot of effort, but you're going to resist it, and that's okay. Right? Again, the point of all this practice is so that you can use this in real time, not just when you're practicing meditation with your earbuds in and meditating. Right? And the last practice that I want to talk about today for week 3 is the practice of RAIN. So the practice of RAIN is an acronym, and the acronym stands for recognize what's present, accept and acknowledge it, investigate or identify where it is, and then the N is non-attachment or non-judgment. So how does this work? Well, let's bring forward a time when you felt frustrated, angry, or upset. Right then and there, we're going to go, 1, recognize what is actually there. Recognize what is there. 2, accept and acknowledge it. Well, that's the hard part. You might not accept that you're frustrated or that the situation happened to you. When I'm working with someone recently who has cancer, the A was really hard for them to accept and acknowledge that they had cancer. They went into the game of, well, I can't believe this, I live a healthy lifestyle, and they played the should, coulda, woulda game. But the reality is we have to go into accepting and acknowledging what is actually present. What is here in this moment. Doesn't mean you like it. And then we investigate where we're holding this or where we're experiencing it. So I investigate my frustration, I identify that it's here, and I like to label it, it feels tight or tense. Maybe there's a sway or a swirl to it. And then the N is non-judgment. So I'm not judging myself for having this experience. I am not judging myself for having this experience. I am simply just experiencing it in this moment. I'm not going to attach to this frustration. Yes, I'm experiencing frustration, but this frustration isn't me. I'm not going to attach to it. So let's do a brief practice of RAIN. So allowing your eyes to close.
So just allowing your eyes to close and just allowing yourself to find your posture, sitting, resting, or lying. As we do this brief practice of RAIN. So just taking these moments to find your breathing in your body, to find a comfortable position, and to set your intent for this practice of formally noticing and recognizing what is present. So just for this moment, bringing forward a situation that can be frustrating at times, something that you're currently experiencing or that you have experienced. Allow it to come forward, allowing it to be present, and to first recognize what is present. Recognize what it is, perhaps saying, I'm recognizing that I'm angry, I'm recognizing that I'm experiencing some frustration or sadness. And then A is we're moving in to accepting and acknowledging that this emotion or this event has happened or is present. Accepting and acknowledging doesn't mean you like it, but it means that we are ready to accept that it is here or happened, so we can move forward. And as we move forward into I, we're identifying or investigating where you're holding this emotion or this thought. Is it in your mind? Is it in your chest, stomach, neck, jaw? Can you feel it in your fists? Again, we're just identifying where this resides. And as we move forward, perhaps just noticing where you're holding this emotion in your mind or body, but moving forward to the end where you're holding it with non-attachment, or you're holding it with non-judgment. So you're not judging yourself for having these emotions or feeling a certain way. So just taking these moments to accept and acknowledge where you are in this moment by not attaching to what might happen or what could happen. So going back, recognizing what is present, accepting and acknowledging that it's here, identifying where you're experiencing this in your body, your mind, and then finally, not attaching to it or not judging it. This is the brief practice of rain. Continue to do this formally until you're comfortable to bring it forward, to use it informally in life. And when you're ready, allowing your eyes to open as you bring this practice of rain forward.
And we're back. Now, we do not only need to use rain in sad or frustrating situations. The next time that you are with someone that you love or there's a joyous experience, go into rain there. Like my 6-year-old, I should know his age. Like my now 6-year-old, crazy wild child. Lots of opportunities to laugh throughout the day. Also lots of opportunities to get frustrated. But for the most part, lots of laughter, lots of joy. Often with my youngest, or with both kids actually, I'll go into a little moment of rain. I'll recognize the laughter. I find it easy to accept and acknowledge it. I identify where it's happening, and then I hold it with non-judgment. I'm not judging myself for laughing. If you do this over and over and over again with the good, and you practice it formally with the negative emotions, what we can create is more of a practice of equanimity. This practice of looking at things without judgment or holding with balance. So in this week of week 3 of Cultivating Calm, all I suggest is that you try this formally, but most importantly, the rain practice, you bring it informally into your life. And that's the practice of the week. Thanks, everybody. I truly hope everyone's staying safe. At any time, again, if you have questions, please feel free to message me. You can get a hold of me via my site, mindfulmike.ca. Many of you have my email, which is on my site. Also via Instagram, @mindfulmassey on Instagram. Okay? Peace and love, everybody.